Let's talk about the design history books 50 years from now. You've got names like Paul Rand, Saul Bass, and Massimo Vignelli. They're the icons. They're going to be in those books. But when we look at our era, when we look at today, who is going to make the cut? Today, we are pitting two of the biggest names in the game against each other, and that is Aaron Draplin and Allan Peters. If we're looking at this like sports, these are the heavyweights. This is Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. One of them changed the culture of how we work, and the other perfected the craft of the work itself. But in 50 years, which one of them is going to have the greater legacy? Is it the guy who mastered style, Aaron Draplin, or the guy who mastered the system, Allan Peters? But before we get into that conversation, I'm Ziggy the designer. I'm a graphic designer who's worked alongside some of the world's biggest brands, including United Airlines, Target, and Stanford University. If you like the conversations we're having on this show, be sure to support the channel by giving this episode a like, leaving a comment down below, and of course, by subscribing. Let's get into it. Design is all around us, so let's talk about it. And let's start by talking about Aaron Draplin. In our sports, really in our football analogy, Draplin is Peyton Manning. He's the guy who appreciates the craft inside and out. Before Draplin, the public-facing celebrity designer usually lived in a high-rise somewhere in New York City and, wore a suit, probably worked out an ad agency. Meanwhile, you can find Draplin in a trucker hat and some Carhartt, right? He brought that blue-collar aesthetic, that blue-collar work ethic to design, the total opposite of the Madison Avenue ad agency, art director, creative director. And Draplin's style is unmistakable. Thick lines, lots of fun shapes, and a deep love for nostalgia. When you see Aaron Draplin's work, you know that it's coming from Aaron Draplin. It has a specific, humanity to it, if we want to get all art history here. And his impact for design goes beyond the work, right? This is the man who gave us field notes. And that's like a status symbol in the design world. I love field notes personally. But the question for Draplin's legacy is whether style is enough. Is he an icon because of the work or because of the man behind it, right? If you take Draplin's blue-collar personality out of the equation, does his work stand alone? And that's the debate. But then you have Allan Peters, right? If Aaron Draplin is Peyton Manning, Allan Peters is Tom Brady. He is the king of that pure clinical execution. Peters is obsessed with the formula of brand design. His work is about geometric perfection and the golden ratio. He literally wrote the book on logos that last. That's the name of the book, Logos That Last. His whole philosophy is built on the idea that if you follow the formula, if you trust the process, you create something that can never truly go out of style. And when you look at his work for brands like Target, for example, you're looking at the peak of modern design craftsmanship. Everything is intentional. He has essentially created a standard for what a modern professional logo should look like. Because his system is so precise, it's become the blueprint for thousands of other designers. You walk into any design school or look at any portfolio online, and you'll see Allan Peters' influence. He's made a repeatable method for good design. So then who comes out on top, right? Who are we talking about in the design history books 50 years from now? While Allan Peters has perfected the formula, I believe Aaron Draplin is the one who will be remembered. And here's why. Peters gave us a foolproof method for creating good design work, but Draplin makes a bigger mark in the story of design. Design history doesn't usually remember the person who was the most correct. right? It remembers the person who shifted the culture. And Peters' work is just so precise and so formulaic that, it lacks any sort of, I don't mean this to sound harsh, but it lacks personality. It's clinical. Because it's a system based on a tried and true formula, it's easy to replicate. You could probably open up Illustrator right now and make an Allan Peters style logo. Look, if everyone can learn the Allan Peters formula, then the individual behind the work eventually becomes secondary to the system itself. Draplin is different. You can't formula your way into what he does. His work has a personality that feels slightly unpolished, a little nostalgic, and it's all unique to him. He changed the identity of who a designer is allowed to be. You can be that blue-collar guy from Detroit just as much as you can be that suit-wearing guy from the Upper East Side, and you can still make great work that is true to yourself. In 50 years, design students will study Peters to learn the formula, but they'll study Draplin to learn how they can make it all their own. But I want to hear from you. Am I wrong? Should it be Allan Peters on top? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're there, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I've been Ziggy the Designer. If there are 2 things you need to know about me, it's that 1, I love design, and 2, I'm very opinionated. I'll talk with y'all later. Bye-bye.